No second chances, no support, and nowhere to go but the finish line. Day and night, non-stop, racing the clock as much as they race themselves. Across 4 continents and countless challenges. The ultimate prize is simply surviving. The journey, the tears, and the triumphs. Welcome to Wild Races. Tasmania's northwest is as harsh as it is beautiful. The ultimate adventure playground? Some may question, whilst others revel in the challenges ahead. All our teams are still pushing hard, with the course already taking its toll. Team Blackheart extend their lead over their rivals, with newcomers Sart from Singapore experiencing true adventure racing. Though there's a long way to go, and what lies around the corner is staggering.
I've had races where I've gone 45 hours without any sleep.
You're just sort of getting these hallucinations.
It's your body's own drug.
The shapes that get formed from the shadows and everything.
I remember waking up at one point all by myself.
And I was riding inside the swimming pool.
I couldn't come right, and that is scary.
Sleep monsters is, this great term that's thrown around, and until you do really experience it, it's hard to sort of imagine.
It's like living in walking or riding or whatever in a parallel world.
This thing that creeps up on you and it says you need sleep right now, and you do some crazy things, but the rational and the racing side of you says we need to keep moving forward. There's a certain point where you're going to move faster if you let into that sleep monster and take the sleep. But sometimes, out of food, moving close to a TA where you have your warm sleeping bag, you want to push through and make it there.
Mostly at night time, and you've got the light from your headlights sort of being thrown onto trees, anything in the environment, you just start with just the most vivid imaginations.
There's a good place and there's a bad place for a sleep monster to attack you. The worst is on dangerous biking terrain. You just don't want it on serious downhills.
I remember waking up at one point all by myself, standing, in ankle-deep mud, sleeping, holding my bike, standing upright.
I was thinking that the right half of the road was the ocean and the white lines were the size of the swimming pool. You just constantly have that battle with yourself where you're trying to convince yourself that it's not true, but it is.
Now well into sleep deprivation, our teams head a further 20 kilometres towards terra firma and hopefully some respite at Tulla.
Nothing strategic, we're pushing to be where we're at, but then you can start getting sort of sleep deprivation and just not recovering as much. The latter half, how about the plan is to let yourself go on the edge a little bit more and try and pick up some spots.
Well, the strategy actually is to go as fast as we can and not stop much.
We're in the middle of leg 8 paddle. I've just done a portage across the hill, back in the water, and heading down into checkpoint 22 at Tulla. Looking forward to getting onto the bike and get some proper food.
Over half the teams are still on the lake, having continued through the night in relentless cold. The breaking sun gives little joy as the weather is closing in yet again.
Bit of a tough race so far. Struggling to eat properly, I think. It's been quite cold.
It's going to be interesting how the night goes, we haven't slept at all yet. Normally,
It's a fan. That's the second night.
For some, another night on the lake.
Sitting in those boats is seriously cold because you're just sitting in the water.
Already beyond the limits of human endurance, fighting hypothermia and the dreaded sleep monsters, a brutal portage and the final kayak defies imagination. With no rescue possible, they must reach dry land, and soon.
Oh God, it's so cold. People are getting a right mess doing that. It's pretty dangerous, I'd say. We've got a tough night ahead of us tonight. Try and make it to the halfway stop. But it's going to be pretty challenging.
A bit soggy.
Long cold day.
I'm looking forward to getting some dry clothes on. It's not easy on the boat, that's for sure.
Oh, it's been a cold day.
Tired, cold, no sleep except for the hour and a half that I just paddled asleep. Paddling, navigating and sleeping all at the same time. That's what it's about. Shivering uncontrollably.
Like the boxes are outside. We mustn't mess around, so we need to give it a time and say, right, 2 minutes we're sleeping and at whatever we are. It's like once it's in your temperature, then you just can't seem to get rid of it.
This mammoth mountain bike leg takes teams through the stunning Stirling Valley towards mid-camp and the race's first mandatory sleep.
On the bike it's a lot easier because basically you're just counting turns and looking at the elevation, whether you're going up a hill or down a hill, but I don't find that much harder on the bike. In the paddle you just can't see far and it's hard to pick out features.
As quickly as welcome dry clothes are on hand, the Tasmanian weather worsens yet again and teams face another long and dark solitary journey into the mist. With dawn breaks a new day and clearing conditions. For those who push through the night, it's a welcome relief. Heading towards Zion, our teams are also reminded that with rain comes mud, and lots of it.
You never get to push yourself this much, ever. You're just living your daily life, but adventures, and you really get to push yourself. And that's one thing. And second thing is that I get to do things that I can never do by myself, thanks to my teammates.
It takes a little while to get the cycling muscles going again. It's going to be a long haul.
A nice trail if it wasn't so muddy.
That wasn't the cleanest leg we ever had. We tried to go up a power line right off the gate to get to the first CP to avoid some ugly single track. And there was a trail and the trail just ended. We started bike whacking. We're like, this is not the way. So we had to come back all the way down. Probably lost 40 minutes there. And then just a lot of stuff just wasn't as clean as it should have been.
I almost fell asleep the last part of the bike. It was crazy. Really cold, but I love it.
Still over half the mountain bike leg remaining and still very little rest, teams now face high-grade hills, near impenetrable scrub and nightfall yet again.
Ain't no mountain high enough. He's Masato Tanaka. He's the captain of Team East Wind, and he's been doing this for 17 years all over the world. So he's really famous and really happy to be riding with him.
Tried to punch it through last night without any sleep, but couldn't do it. This is one of those moments when it's really close, but it's still pretty far. For me, the race has really come alive today after this mountain bike ride. It was just makes it all, reminds us why we do it.
We may have stopped in town for a quick burger too, so it's been a pretty good afternoon.
And after 5 days, they all turned into zombies. Almost at mid-camp, having a bull.
Yeah, we've got to blast some Ks, so we've got a serious road train. We're flying.
JD here has just come down with the bad gut.
Are we there yet? I'm good. I just lost some fluids. I'm a millisecond from losing it.
It's the first sort of 50, 60 k's of this mountain bike. A lot of forest tracks, a lot of mud.
You can just look at us. Felt like being a school kid all over again, going for every single puddle. It was awesome.
After the night and the morning in the rain, in the mist, in the cold, in the wet, nice to come over the top. But I'm ready to get off the bikes now.
It's been amazing. Pure bliss.
What these two didn't tell you is that a little while ago rode off the road. From a attack of the sleep monster. They just rode off the side of the road.
What?
Fell asleep.
And it was okay?
Yeah, they were lucky. They woke up just before they hit the ditch. I'm going through the dips all the time. And so is everyone. It goes like this. Then you're awake, then you're sleeping. Hopefully we'll get a big sleep now at midway camp. 5 hours.
Well beyond what even the most experienced teams have already encountered before, this race is going to get even tougher.
Looking forward to mid-camp.
Yeah. We haven't slept since what, CP 17?
Yeah, no.
16.
We'll get there. Not far now.
Like 4 24-hour races in a row.
10k already done. In a couple of hours. Yay!
Techno Extreme not limping in, coming in strong. Pretty happy to be here in 13th place. Eliza had a really rough day one, but she bounced back in the night and she's at full strength. Ryan's been an animal on the boat. People are feeling strong.
Made a bit of a big nav error on that last ride. So yeah, we got in here. I was feeling pretty grumpy then, but that was 5 hours ago. Good sleep will change everything. So it should hold us through for another night at least. We're going to try and go now for the next 32 hours without any more sleep.
Let the team down.
I think it is the end of the race for us. Chris, he actually dozed off on the bike and he fell. Physically and mentally can do it, but in the heart, you know, we just want to be near to our teammate. You know, I hope that he's all right.
As good as it gets.
You go to hell and you come back, but it's always better on the way back. So if you can just remember that.
For our lead teams, this is where the real race begins, heading out on the longest trek so far, over 65 grueling kilometres along Tasmania's wind-battered west coast.
Less haste, more speed. I think particularly when it comes to the navigation side of things, if they take care to stay on the routes that they're following, that's going to save them a lot of time in the long run. If they try and rush it and they lose the track, they could lose a lot of time.
3k road, 2k track, and then we're on the beach. We can really maximise just the next 2.5 tops. Yeah, if we can get through those dunes, we need to set ourselves a goal of like, I don't know, sort of 6 hours to do. Get up the top end of the beach if possible.
Rob's got a bit of stomach problems at the moment, so it'll take him a bit of time to get over that.
Struggling to keep up a little at the start of this trek. It's right on. Come good soon.
Now it's more than a marathon on sand, scrub and shivering river crossings.
Well, we just left the midway point and we've got the 65k trek on ahead of us, and what we've already been through has been pretty tough on our feet already, so it's going to be exercise and attrition.
I just keep thinking inch by inch, then it'll be fine.
Amazing piece of untouched wilderness.
In a featureless environment where the teams are now faced with near impossible navigation choices within the Henty Dunes.
Trying to imagine what the vegetation looks like from the air on this.
Very hard. Very, very, very hard. And the dunes have shifted from position.
Exciting stage, just a bit of a hobble as much as a walk, but looking forward to getting some more Ks in the belt. Got a nice chilly swim to keep us going for the events.
It's going to be really cold and it's windy as well, so the other side's going to be interesting. Just trying to keep everything as dry as we can.
Sal jumped on her bag to float across and then just choked up and couldn't breathe. So poor old Pete had to swim back and drag Sal out, who was just shaking and couldn't breathe. It's quite disturbing.
It's a harsh and unforgiving landscape as our teams are about to learn.
When we started walking up the beach, it was very pleasant, and then the wind just picked up and it was just like walking through a glass blower, it's just dust and everywhere. It was horrible, absolutely horrendous.
Everybody's pretty sleepy. We're working into the TA after the monster trek. Can't wait to get off our feet. Trying to warm up a little bit. 5:50 in the morning. Too late to wake up. Lord.
Not how I usually start my day.
I think being the world champs, you always expected a tough course, a really tough course, I suppose, to sort the top teams out.
After surviving the wet, sand, sun and cold, the wind picks up for good measure. Onwards to Granville Harbour.
It was really tough, interesting challenge for the team. Cold and windy, but we made it through. Here we are, keeping up.
It's been epic so far, and unfortunately the bike's the part that I find the hardest, and we've got a lot of bike to go, so we're about to get on for 150 Ks, so hopefully I can get through that. Once I knock that over, I think start to see the finish line.
Getting there, all right. It's been a long day and a half on this trek, but yeah, we're almost there. I think we can just about smell the plate.
We had a fairly tough day yesterday. We were about to embark on one of the more remote sections of the course, and we decided to call it a day.
A tough pill to swallow, but this is Wild Races. No place for the faint-hearted. After a brutal stage on foot, the attrition rate on the rise, our teams now face an epic 150-kilometre mountain bike ride. This will take them through some of Tasmania's harshest terrain yet. Pushing the bounds of human endurance is one thing. What our teams face ahead is beyond comprehension.
Together we've got a pretty epic bike leg coming up, so
and I imagine there's not going to be, well, there'll be a lot of biking, but there'll be a lot of hiking and carrying bike.
I've got a nice little wound, and it's meant for some interesting walking for a while, but it's kind of numbing, and the drugs are helping out.
It's just perfect navigation. I've got nothing else to do. I can nav, he can drive.
Adidas now take over from Merrill and Team Blackheart, with a few navigation errors costing both teams dearly. The brutal conditions proved too much for some, with others relentless in their push towards the finish. Next time, prepare yourself for the most stunning of finishes that literally comes down to the wire.
We just forget the pain so quickly that we always come back for more.